All right, we are back. Dynasty Trades in 5. I'm Clay.
I'm Shane.
And I am Scott. This show is brought to you by TB12.
There we go. I was about to say, what's the lead-in going to be today? So yeah, we're talking about Tom Brady. Is he ever going to stop playing this game of football? Everybody is probably like, does he have one more year left? How many more years is he playing?
Well,
Shane,
let's
we'll
see.
start with you. Is he going to keep playing for 3 more years?
Yesterday was the 20th anniversary of Drew Bledsoe's injury and Tom Brady coming in, which just when they said that on the Gamecast or whatever you call it, I was like, no, that can't be true. And then, I looked up the stats and I'm like, yeah, that's right. It's like, you can't believe it. You really can't. So he's actually gotten better the last 2 years, fantasy wise, than he was during his last 2 years in New England, when some people we're writing him off, saying, look, this guy's done. It's over. It's amazing when you put him on an offense with healthy Gronkowski, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and Antonio Brown, and apparently the best pass catching back in all football, Leonard Fournette, how good you can look. I guess he's going to retire one day, right? Brady's probably the type of guy that would just hang it up whenever he feels like it. But why would he? He's playing so good. He's still showing that he didn't need Belichick. I think that's part of his drive. He's a QB1.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we just actually get down to the nitty gritty, I mean, you got to assume he's going to play one more season. I do think after next year, if you look at the Bucks cap room and you look at the status of their roster, it's going to be really hard for them to keep this team together past next season. It's going to be hard to keep it together after this year, but after next year, it's going to be almost impossible. So I think that's a fair target. I think you can assume he probably retires after 2022, which basically just means you're evaluating him in the window of the rest of this season and then one more year. But I think if you just evaluate, where he stands quarterback wise, if you assume he's going to play one more season, you just kind of ask yourself, you down the line, you say, are these quarterbacks guaranteed to play past one more year? And once you go through the list, I mean, heck, there's probably only 20, 22 quarterbacks that are guaranteed to start next year. Right now he's QB 18. And I think that's pretty fair. I mean, he's around like, you're asking questions like Baker Mayfield versus Tom Brady or Derek Carr versus Tom Brady, Ryan Tannehill, those types. I mean, I think it's a fair valuation.
So that's my favorite conundrum in all of Dynasty football, and that's what I love playing, is the most he's got is 2 years in him, right? But those 2 years are going to be top 12 seasons compared to Baker Mayfield, who will give you 6 more seasons of QB 22, which is more valuable. I don't think QB 22 is valuable in any way whatsoever. So I would take him over anybody like that. Garoppolo is a little different. Garoppolo, apparently I like him now because he's played much better over this season. But yeah, when you get into guys like Baker Mayfield, Danny Jones, like you said, Derek Carr, or whichever Carr is playing now, I think you got to take TB12.
So are you guys trading him away for any first?
Superflex, right?
Of course, always.
No, actually, no. No, I would not. A 2022 late first, no, I'm not giving up Brady for him.
So I think here's the move. If you're out of it this year and you want to trade him away for a first, I think that's okay. If you haven't had the trade deadline, we've talked about that before. I wouldn't hate to do that. It's basically a 1-year player for a first, which I think is pretty fair. The question becomes like, where do you take him in a startup? That's where you probably want to acquire your shares. Otherwise, the person that has them, if they're also like in the top 3 or 4 teams, they're probably relying on him for the next year. And they're kind of just like, yeah, I'm just going to let him expire on my roster. So it's just hard to see Brady transactions unless he's on a bad team.
So would you rather have Tom Brady and a 23 first or Jalen Hurts and a late 22 first?
Oh, the 23 first is still the most valuable piece in that. That's not even fair.
Yeah, I don't think you can necessarily. Well, you know what? Again, we've talked about both these guys before. Like Jalen Hurts is one of those where you just have to make a big bet. You know what I mean? I'd prefer Jalen Hurts if I know he's going to start next year because that's as many years as Brady's going to give me. He's probably going to give me similar fantasy production. And then Hurts has another whole, decade of his career. And if he's playing, he's a high-end QB1 or at least a top 12 quarterback. So that's an interesting one.
Okay. Would you rather have Kirk Cousins in the 2022, call it 107, or Tom Brady and a random 23 first?
Gotta take Cousins in the 107. I think Cousins is better than Brady. Not from a perspective of like game by game, season by season, but I mean Cousins is still a top 15 fantasy quarterback, and I think he has more years left. So I think that's a fair pivot.
Yeah, Cousins might be the cutoff point. Like Cousins is that range of like this guy might not be elite, but he's going to be close to it for several years.
Yep.
So Shane, you said you wouldn't trade Brady for a late 22 first. Would you trade Brady for a random 23 first?
Yes, I would.
What about you, Scott?
Yeah, I would. And I mean, I do think there is one thing we didn't talk about really, but I just want to throw out there. There's a chance if the Buccaneers repeat and win the Super Bowl that he does retire. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It's probably less than a 10% chance, but it's possible.